Broken silence, broken silence, broken.
Let's go to the marriage thing first. Let's talk about that.
The things to say about the marriage thing.
The boiler.
So much things to say about it.
Go ahead.
But you can start, girl. You can start.
Yes, say it.
I just want to acknowledge that marriage, I think it's put on a pedestal. It's like, wow. Yeah, I think it's put on a pedestal. It's just, marriage is a normal, natural thing. It's not some perfect situation, which because if you go into it, like this is what we did when we were younger. We like a fairy tale in our head that we were going to get married and then we're going to live happily ever after. That's why there's so many divorces.
With no problems in between.
So many divorces, it's not like that. Marriage is like, you get to a place with a person where you're one and the same, and it's like whoever they are and whoever you are, it's like you merge into one person. So and that's not going to be perfect all of the time. You have to come to like an understanding, an agreement, a compromise, but you're giving each other your best selves. So the only way I could put it is like, I like to be babied as a wife, but I like to baby my husband. So if we're babying each other, we're both gonna feel fantastic. But I think the point that I'm trying to make is that I see a lot of my sisters and brothers, they have this unrealistic view of what a life partner should look like. Or
I think there's no work in between. Like,
there's
like,
no.
It just happens.
There's all.
I'm playing Disney.
Or say which one? Cinderella?
Yeah, you know the stupid music, the happy music at the end.
Yeah,
Build that.
That's it. And then they finish it.
Yeah,
And they don't come with no follow up about how's the marriage going, how did the frog and the princess get on like maybe 2 years into the marriage. But
they give you the honeymoon period. That's what it is.
And
It's the honeymoon
that's
period.
honeymoon
That's
period
it.
forever.
And so none of us are prepared for having to wash up the dishes or do you know what I mean? No, but I think
lips are dry.
do you know, it's just unrealistic. So I think our people, my brothers and sisters, because we've had conversations about this recently, just need to like see what we're doing to each other, because one side talks like they're not doing it to the other side as well. So the sisters might say, oh, they're looking for something perfect, as in talking about the brothers, but they are also looking for something unrealistically perfect. So
But it does boil down to people not wanting to work at things, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But don't you think in our community there is a lack of like successful marriages to look at and say that is the idea of a perfect marriage, or I see that they work together? I think in our community there's a lack of that, or it's not so prominent. Not that they don't exist, but maybe it's not so prominent. So I don't know. From coming into none of my family members or extended family members, aunties or uncles, my mum was the only one that was married, and then her marriage ended. So that's just me, one person. I don't have any marriages to look to say that's a great example of marriage. So maybe that could potentially be one of the reasons why we don't have a realistic perception.
No, it's true.
Of what a partner should or should not be, or whatever. Yeah.
No, that's true, because really and truly, when you're like, that's the same for me. I didn't have that growing up, so I didn't have like an example to look to as I was growing up, because I was raised in a single parent home. So I didn't have that where I could be like, oh, okay, so when I grow up, I know how to be for my husband. You know, when he comes around. If you don't have that, then it's like, okay, so then what do I do? Because it's like everything's brand new, so it's like, okay, am I doing anything wrong? Am I doing anything right? Like how you're supposed to be? And then obviously growing up as well, really and truly, all we really had was media.
Right.
So if we're looking at, like you said, Disney, we had Disney. But then, if you're then looking at certain other shows, like we had like Desmond's, which is a UK show, or
Cosby
in
show.
America, exactly, Cosby, I was just about to say it, Cosby show. So you had certain, obviously, shows that showed, as in within our community or our culture, it showed that successful marriages. And of course, within those shows, it showed like the ups and the downs. So you could obviously look to that and be like, okay. But then, remember, that's just a TV show.
Yeah.
We're not really looking at the real life. It's
I
all
thought-
sugarcoated.
I
You thought that's the marriage.
thought-
Yeah. But with that, obviously, it's sugarcoated.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, yeah, we saw the ups and downs of certain episodes that we would watch, but it's sugarcoated. So you're not really seeing the.
I don't know. For me, you make your marriage what you want it to be. And so to look at, for instance, the Cosbys and say that that's sugar-coated, I would say it's an ideal representation, and it might not always be that way, but I would fully say that your marriage is what you make it. So for me, I'm going to be happy in my marriage. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and just, be miserable in my marriage. One, because it's not the righteous thing to do, and who wants to be locked into a marriage that's unhappy for however long?
But then that's another thing then, because a lot of people, I don't know, like the older generation, I'm talking like our grandparents, great grandparents, and grandparents, like they stuck through their marriage.
That's true.
Like regardless of what happened, even if the man stepped out or whatever the case may have been, like they stuck by their husbands. So it's like, so where's the breakdown now? Because now the generations, now the great grandparents and grandparents are that's like fizzing out now. So it's like now we've got this generation coming through. So like say my mum's generation who are either kind of hitting like 60 years old or 50 years old. So it's like there's that breakdown where a lot of the marriages from that generation didn't last, it broke down, or there just was lack of marriage as a whole. So it's like, what's our example now? Now the generations now coming up is like, what's your example now? You don't really have a lot of that now.
It's not even in popular culture. Really,
it's not, because marriage ain't really pushed like
It's
that.
true, because like, say like our generation, you said about Cosby, we had my wife and kids. At least,
That was my show.
but at least they were married.
Exactly.
And they used to have issues, but they would work through them. But now, what have they got? Like reality TV, hip hop,
Love and hip hop and all that,
all of that. So there's no real they don't have
Example
any
right now.
example, which
At
is
all.
sad. They don't have.
And
any
that's the thing
example.
as well, because obviously, obviously, me growing up being in my 30s now was the whole MTV generation. So again, it's that breakdown of it. You don't really see apart from my and kids, like you didn't really get a lot of the shows like that had the marriage, a black marriage, to look for as an example. Then obviously now it's the expectation of how, like for black boys especially, how they want their women to be. So if you're growing up in the era of MTV, then they're seen as, oh well, she's got to look this way and the body's got to be that way and she has to be this way, and that's now the expectation. So if you're not seeing that,
it's not about the inside.
It's not about the inside anymore. It's not about how a woman that's supposed to be righteous or how they're supposed to be as a wife. Because again, if they're a lot of them that's grown up in a single parent at home, obviously the mum's having to be mum and dad. So it's like they didn't get that expectation of how a man should be in the household. They've seen that as that's the woman. They may not have been happy with all the things that their mum done. You're just living what you're living because your mum's having to work. Your mum's probably absent all the time because she's having to work and support, you understand? So again, you don't get that the mum's not there, dad's just AWOL, he's not there. So then what do you have? So then you got media now to show you, oh, this is how you're supposed to live. When it's not, because they're just showing you a whole heap of foolishness.
But you know why I think that there's a breakdown, because although the men, I don't think that the men see that type of woman as someone that they want to marry. I think the women are buying into that image more so than the men. I think the women are acting like that's how they think the men want them to be. But I don't think that when men think about having a wife, they would think about marrying that one from Love and Hip Hop or whatever. They want the one with the character, the one that's got that's kind of righteous in a sense. They want that one. They don't want the one that's all doing foolishness and all that.
So it's like, that's what I'm saying. When I say the media has messed up a lot of people, it has messed up the generations, because that's been the example of how it's supposed to be to have relationships. There is no good example anymore at all.
It's divisive.
Yeah, of course.
That way, they don't want strong black families all over the place.
And then that also goes down to a lot of black women now who, when they say they want to have a husband, but because of society and
we're already
you know what I mean. So
against each
for
other.
black women, they're very hard.
Yeah.
You know, very fiercely independent.
Yes.
So then now, when it comes to a man, you know, say, you know, let's try
They,
something
well,
there.
they have to make space for the man. If you want
Yeah.
a man in your life, you want a husband, you have to make space for the husband, right? You have to show yourself to be submissive, you know, and
a lot
it's
of
not
them
always easy.
That's like, so then, like you say that, so the reason why there are no like marriages in our generation or whatever, or lack of, or not many, is because of the breakdown of the image of the woman and the man. So the man seeing the woman as how the media's portraying her to be, and the woman seeing the man as how the media portrays him to be. And then because you've bought into those stereotypes of the two, you can't come together.
Yeah. But also, I think that to a degree, the man bought into the stereotype of himself, and the woman bought into the stereotype of herself as well. So, for example, you get some men who, okay, the stereotype might be they don't have a job. They don't really want to have a job. They're not really looking to like
elevate
themselves. And brothers are fully like that.
Yeah, but don't you think it's more so like the Western countries? Because most of my friends, like when I was in secondary school, a lot of my friends that were like from Africa, they're all married now. And they're married, but the Caribbeans.
It's not in our culture. It's not in our culture.
So don't you think it's more the ones that are brought up among this kind of Western media?
I do. I think our people that are brought up in Africa have more character and more respect for family values and family life than I'm a West Indian. My mother is West Indian. My father Guyanese. We don't have the same kind of emphasis on family values as, I don't know, you might have this.
Yeah, because obviously, like me being Nigerian, is marriage is pushed. Like they're very traditional in the sense of, you know, they kind of plan out their children's life already, and they've already mapped it out. Especially if either you've lived there or you've got parents who are very hardcore Nigerians, or just West African as a whole. They've already mapped out your life. So school, university, doctor, lawyer, engineer, so whatever's going to bring you more than 30k a year. And then it's a case of, it's either your marriage could be arranged, or they will say you need to go and find, you know, son, go and find your wife, or, you know, daughter, go and find your husband. They're very traditional in that sense that, even down to the whole even sex before marriage, that like, you understand, you need to be married first before they'll be bringing, because they say it's shame on their family. You can't bring their child into our family and you ain't married yet. Like you can't. So they're very strict in that sense, and they're still very strict until now. To be fair, in Nigeria now, it's very Western. It's become very Western. So in places like Abuja, which is the capital, is very Westernized. So you're basically in London or America going there. But then obviously there's other places, like you've got the towns, got the villages who are very hardcore, old school, where they're very Abrahamic in all the teachings. So this is why morally they kind of got it together in that sense. They're very family structured. And that's something obviously that we're missing. Like we need that, whether you're from the Caribbean or wherever. Like, but we need that family structure. Like we need that family structure.
Yeah, we do.
So
it's true. It's sad.
It is sad. But like I said, that's even that is. Although that certain generations of Nigerians are like that, but if they're raising their children here, unless they're very strict on their children just go AWOL anywhere and just do what they're doing. So as much as they are very strict with that, the children always follow suit. Unfortunately,
they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
They're still gonna do what they do. Yeah.
You know, marriage before, like back in the day, was something that you would like. That used to be like something you looked to try to achieve. But if they're not trying to achieve marriage, like what are people trying to achieve? Like what fills the gap of the marriage? Do you get
money?
Do you get what I'm saying?
Money.
It's money in it.
What forever and ever?
Basically.
Girl Monday, girl Tuesday, girl Wednesday, girl Thursday, girl Friday. Girl Saturday, girl Sunday.
I think for real, everyone has become more money orientated. I think marriage is like even for example, right, I was speaking to some colleagues at work. One was Nigerian, one was Jamaican. And their whole notion of the whole marriage thing was like, now I've got to sample her before I know that she's going to be wifey.
Yeah.
So a lot of them already have children with, you know, however baby mothers they have. But it's like, they're like, no, I can't marry her unless I know that she's real. But I'm like, but you've been with her like 10 years and you still don't know whether she's your wife or not. And you've got how many children? It's so backwards, it's unreal. Like, it don't make no sense.
They're together and then they're like, the barrier to marriage is money. Because they can't afford the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, are you for real? You could just go to a registry office and
they don't want to
Yeah,
they want the razzmatazz.
but have
They
the
want
big
the
day.
razzmatazz.
Go and do the little thing in the registry office, and then have the big day when you.
No,
when
they want it all
at
together.
least you're married.
They want it all
It's
together.
just like an excuse. Well, it's just an excuse.
It's a commitment then.
Yeah.
It's a commitment thing, but I don't know why the whole marriage, that the word marriage is like, I don't know, it's like they're scared of the word marriage. You've been cohabitating for how long? Just get married, like legalize it.
Yeah.
But it's like if they put like a title to that, oh no, we're good, we're good as we are.
Not so easily to break.
But there's so many people I know that's like, they're like, nah, we're good how we are. Just get married. I don't get like, why are you not getting married? It makes no sense. You've been living together for how many years? This is years now, and you still don't want to say, yeah, boom, let's go and get married.
I've seen relationships 25 years long without marriage, and then they get married, and then within the next couple of years they break up.
What?
Yeah.
You think maybe secondary schools and colleges need to start doing
Instead of that education, is
marriage education and life skills. That's what they need to start doing, because it goes back to what we were saying, that it's this high expectation of what a marriage should be. It's hard to explain, but it's like they're not seeing the reality of how a marriage should be. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. So it's like, the moment there's a down, everyone's like, no, I'm throwing in the towel. Like, I'm done. Nowadays, I want a divorce. Like, it's crazy. But people will get divorced over the most foolish things.
It's too easy to get a divorce.
Way too easy. People don't want to work for their marriage. But then, and this is the thing again, it's like brothers and sisters, you know, saying, okay, I want to get married, but then you're putting people on this high pedestal. So it's like, it's not like your husband, like, it's good, toilet seat's going to be up. Clothes probably going to be dashed on the floor. But these are the reality of things. Like they don't know, like, these are things you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
So it's like, mentally prepare yourself from now before it happens. You understand? It's like, everyone has different habits and all that kind of stuff. So you have to do the whole marriage thing is a process.
To merge. It's two different people merging. There's going to be things that are going to irritate you.
Sacrifice. A compromise.
Sacrifice is compromise. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
that is it.
But also, it's about seeing and judging whether the other person is comfortable. It's like, have more care for the other person in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're both doing that thing, you're each having care for the other, rather than for yourself, then you're good. You've got it.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
That's hard to do though.
I know it's hard.
But you have to settle yourself.
No, you have to humble yourself. No, 100%.
I'm telling you.
But you see, this is another thing now as well, right? That's popped into my head. See, now you get a lot of celebrities, obviously, that's married, and of course, them being in the media, like, we hear everything, like Beyonce, Jay-Z cheated, blah blah. But then the maddest thing that I heard was Will Smith and Jada didn't care. So this was like a few years ago. Now we're going back, which was on the media, and basically they were saying that how their marriage worked is that they had an open.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? Like, they had an open relationship, open marriage.
Adultery.
Basically, but this is what I'm saying. This is all the crazy things that people are pushing. How your marriage is going to work, so I can just step out whenever I want to.
Oh, babe, do you remember? I'm scared to see this other chick with my husband.
Yes, I see it.
Don't come back.
No, but
I like, all right, I'm coming and go with you.
Yeah.
Go with you and talk to me.
But you know what's annoying as well?
You're married.
You mentioned Beyonce there, yeah? She's got all these songs about single ladies and irreplaceable. But she ain't once left Jay-Z yet. She's them two still going strong. So you're there telling me to leave my man.
But yeah, you
ain't getting nowhere.
And we fully know this. You know why it's annoying? Because we buy into it. Like,
No, we did.
I'm leaving my
That's why they're selling the courses.
And then you're there with your man 15 years strong.
And then these time people listen to your song about a divorce.
Yeah.
No, let's face it.
Probably sign the papers to Beyonce.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Girl.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like twofold. Like, you got the whole thing of people that know how a marriage works, and you got idiot people, celebrities saying, "Oh, no, just step out if your marriage is all right. Get your mutual understanding with your husband, and then this." What? Who? So I'm sorry. Whose household is that happening? Because they're happening in mine. No.
But I think we can agree that this world isn't gonna conform to
it's gonna get worse.
Of course. Yeah, of
righteous
course.
ideals that we want to live in for ourselves.
No.
So and it's just getting more nuts. So you've got your single partnerships. You've got man with man. You've got woman with woman. I think someone married a tree the other day.
What?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you read that? There's an
Mhm.
article. Someone married a tree.
You're literally allowed to now marry whatever you want to marry.
How are you gonna marry a tree?
I don't know.
That's really
how.
annoyed me.
So good luck with the compromise. I'm sure easy marriage for that one. But
Just imagine the person in the tree like, I love you. I loved you from the day I first laid eyes on you.
babe, the leaves you keep
Yes.
dropping on the floor.
No, I can't.
Tree in the forest.
This world is
It's so amazing.
oh mate, this world is so finished. It's ridiculous. A tree, very good, very good, very very good.
Oh, this world is finished.
Oh mate, but yeah. Well, that's marriage in so-called 2019.
Yeah, but marriage, you know what? Yeah, people that don't want to be marriage can be very pleasant.
Yeah.
Like it's actually quite funny. Like some things that couples go through is it's funny, isn't it? Like my husband might say, "Oh, Sha, man."
You sound like
Someone can do the perfect impersonation. "Oh, Sha, man. You don't show me no love. You don't show me no love, innit? Like in public, you don't show me no love." I'm just like, "Okay, babe. Sure. I'm gonna show you love."
Mhm.
So next time we're in public, I'm just like, babe, showing you love. You see, so I did what I was supposed to
That's
do.
right.
Then you like the love, everyone's
Yeah,
happy.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
Bob's your uncle.
Okay, so we can. So we're saying communication is obviously key.
Yeah.
100%.
I think communication is everything.
No word.
But also, if someone tells you, or if a person tells you, if you're in a relationship and someone tells you what they want, do it, innit?
Yeah,
But is it that easy though?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Let me give you examples. So people say he'll be like, "Sha, you don't discipline the youth properly. Yeah, you need to be a bit more disciplined with the youth." So there's me vex. Like, alright, man, what do you mean? Like, they always say, discipline you, I need to discipline you, whatever. So then the next time that the youth does something, now he will leave me to discipline him to make sure that I'm doing it. But because me, it takes me ages to be angry.
Yeah.
And if I discipline when I'm not angry, it's a bit pansy, like, don't do that, like, stop
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So I have to be really angry to discipline, like, very firmly. Like, I need to discipline the
It's
youth.
because you're Holy Spirit. It's like the job between the Holy Spirit and the Most High.
So
Innit?
it's a man's job to.
Yeah, like the Most High comes with that, and then you're the mother, so you're the comforter. So you might be like you seeing when your child is getting in the territory of like
You're about to get
your
licked.
father is
Red
going. So that's why you're like, so you're not there yet. So
Yeah, but then this is the point I'm trying to make here, is that not to see that as because what I used to see it before as a personal attack on me.
Oh,
Do you get it? And
okay,
that's why I used to
okay.
get my back up. And
Yeah.
just think, you're never happy, man.
Yeah.
You always got something to say.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I take it as, okay, he's just trying to tell me what he thinks the best thing.
Okay,
If I see it from that perspective,
Yes.
then you're not so vexed and you can kind of do the thing they're asking you to do. So that's where the communication is key. But then again, it's how you take it as well.
Yeah,
I think that's where the line is. How you
But see,
how you take it.
and your point even goes back to what we were saying before about like women being fiercely independent and not being used to hearing anything from a man.
Yes.
So then when you do enter a relationship, it's like you have to learn to be submissive to your man.
Yeah.
But I think the word submissive, some women take it as so what
We
you trying
don't
to
say
be the
nothing.
bottom.
We-
Yeah, like
we
you're trying to
don't
be the
say
bottom
nothing.
kind of thing. Yeah.
I think for me, it was I get defensive.
Yeah, that's it.
So if my husband says, I know he might say something, immediately I think he's like, I'm not gonna like that. And I'm sitting here thinking, I only care about what you say and what you think about me. So like, of course it's gonna wound you. It's like, it could be one little thing, you'd be like,
Guess what I mean?
but you're right. It's like when you kind of take that out of it. And like one thing my husband would say, my husband would be like, "Just take the emotion out of it." Take the emotion out of it.
I mean, that's a bit hard. We're very emotional. Very emotional.
I'm a woman. Just talking about the feelings. You're like I'm a woman. Yeah, but when you kind of stop being defensive. Then you can look at it in a kind of constructive or productive way, and then you can kind of work to come into like a common ground or common understanding.
Do you think that's like, well, it is then women having to be a bit more submissive to their man?
I think that's one aspect.
Obviously, like the communication, the compromising, and all of that, but as the woman should know their role.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I agree with that. But at the same time, I do think the men need to realise that we are women.
Yeah.
Actually, we are going to think different to you because we are different from you.
Yeah.
So it's not every day that I should have your perspective. Sometimes I'm going to have my own perspective.
Which
Because
is
I'm
valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we are there to help our husbands.
Help meet.
Yeah, well, help meet. And so, and this is one thing we say in the professional world. In the professional world, if you've just got one perspective and everybody thinks the same way, that's a weakness. It's called groupthink. So if you're in a relationship, you want the value of as many perspectives as possible. So you want to be able to see something from this angle and from that angle. Because if you don't, you might get caught off guard. So you don't want your other half to be trained into thinking and acting exactly like you or exactly how you want them to act. Because you're taking out the power of your union. You need to have different perspectives.
I agree.
That's true.
You do.
It's true.
So then how do you kind of like be like, so whose perspective is better?
Well, you have to do what you like. At the end of the day, it's up to him. He's in charge. As women, I think we have to become more good at being persuasive or influencing.
Do you know what? Someone told me that the man is the head, but the woman is the neck.
Turn.
I like that.
Yeah, so it's like you work together to do these.
Yeah. I like that. That's very good, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes, guys. Taking mental notes.
I agree.
Not to say you should like come above your husband, because
No.
you don't do that. But just that you can have a little small.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, but then okay. See, we know all of this because obviously we're in the Bible, so we know how we're supposed to be as women. But then how do you explain that to someone who doesn't understand it on that level, who's in the world?
Boy.
And
Ask them what they want. What do they want out of life?
yeah, but then as you speaking to a woman, regardless of race or whatever, it's like, how do you explain to them, well, you're supposed to be submissive to your husband?
You show them like an example of a couple where the woman is submissive and how successful the relationship is, like a successful example of a relationship. Because you find a lot of problems in a marriage where the woman is not submissive. So if you show them an example, okay, you be a bit more like this, then your relationship will be a bit more successful, or you have a little bit more peace and harmony in your marriage.
But then, like you get examples of, for example, not to say that the woman is like fiercely independent, but she's like the so-called bread maker of that marriage.
The breadwinner.
Breadwinner.
Yeah.
So she's out there working, and like the husband is the person who's staying at home
Yeah.
to look after the children.
Yeah.
So it's like, would you call that like a role reversal, or that's just how they're constructed in their household is like that's just.
I think it kind of depends on the characteristics of your relationship, because I'm a ride or die. If we're both working and for some reason one of us can't work, then I will listen. I will go out and work for us. And so, because I'm sure that, my husband will do it, he has done it for you. So I kind of think it's down to the characteristics of the relationship. You kind of can't look at it like that. Like, if you're in it, you have to kind of be in it. Like, just struggle together. But make sure when you're at home together, it's the sweetest, like, just be in love and struggle together. That's kind of what I believe. Me too.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys.
I just want to say marriage is good,
Yeah, it's
to get
good.
married.
It is. I couldn't tell.
Yes. Okay.
Session closed.